welcome to another weekend here in Tokyo. It is raining again, and if you noticed from last weekend,
rain just got real.
It was also raining. It has been raining for about 2 weeks straight now. Just rain. So far, I've had extreme earthquakes, extreme heat, and now extreme rain. I'm not complaining. Like Japan, you've been amazing. Tokyo, you've been amazing. I love you. I just would like 1 month of not extreme weather. Last weekend I also mentioned that I broke my camera stand tripod thing. And so today I'm about to go to the tech side of town to try to find another one, because I had a really cheap one and I liked it because it was thin, it wasn't really bulky. The nice ones, like the Gorilla Pod things, they're so expensive and they're big. So I'm gonna try to find another like cheap O1 thin one. And then I think I'm gonna do my grocery shopping for the week instead of going tomorrow, so I can just chill out tomorrow and do laundry and stuff like that. So tripod shopping and grocery shopping. Let's go. Okay, just made it down to Akihabara. Gonna try to just find a place because I looked on Yelp and it wasn't very helpful. So I'm gonna just walk around and see if I find something interesting before I go into the 10th floor electronics place. I don't know what these are, but they're like $40. Is it just a necklace? Like a $160 necklace. Ah, magnetic. I think I tried everything on that side, so crossing the street to try the other side of the street.
There's a lot of cool buildings here, but this one is pretty crazy. There's like a tree, 2 trees on every single floor. What the heck? It's like a full loaf of bread.
Raw ham risotto of cheese.
That doesn't even sound good.
Finding a tripod is officially a fail. Not to do the grocery shopping.
Grocery shopping, get a cart.
A little tiny cart. Nice hangers for your purse or backpack. Step 2, get a basket. Step 3, admire the turn radius.
From the store, I get almost the same things every week because I cook about the same thing almost every week. So I tend to get like these mixed vegetable things because it's pretty cheap, and vegetables I find to be more expensive here in Japan. These are just some chocolates I found that are cheap. I also I get frozen vegetables because again, very cheap, and vegetables are expensive. I try to get at least some fresh vegetables. These I actually don't even know what they're called, but they're kind of like Japanese spinach. They're a little more bitter though, but I throw them in the stir fry just to have some more greens. I don't think you can have enough greens. And then I tend to get some shrimp as like one of my proteins, and then salmon. So I try to find some salmon on sale. This one is actually bigger than usual and a lot cheaper. I think because I went so late today. Typically in the Japanese market, like after like 6 or so, they start to discount all the fresh produce. So I like to go later in the day and try to catch the things on sale. So like this pack of salmon was $3, and it's like 3 pretty big pieces in there. I don't know if you can tell, but so that would be like 3 dinners for me, along with like frozen vegetables and maybe rice. That's like 3 meals. And then shrimp stir fry. So like the shrimp and the vegetables will be like another 2 meals nights. So that's basically like the whole week's meal done with. And like, I don't know, I don't mind eating the same thing every week because it's kind of different every time, a different vegetable or something with it, and I just don't have to think about it. So that's what like the biggest thing is. And I think that was it. Got an onion because I was out of onion. Operation find a stand for my camera. It was a fail, but it's okay. Found one online for a pretty good price, so it should be here in a few days. Also, I forgot to mention a while ago, my new case for my phone came, so no more cracked screen anymore. It's perfectly fine now. But anyway, wanted to talk a little bit about this article that I read. I think it's from Esquire. It might be pretty old because I like pocketed and didn't read it till lately. But anyway, it's about 4 different guides that talk about how much money they make and answer very candid questions about budgeting and saving for money, which I thought was pretty interesting. So anyway, sorry I always like to draw little things, but I don't know, I like to draw things. Anyway, so there was 4 guys in the article: guy 1, guy 2, guy 3, guy 4. And all 4 guys had 4 different income brackets. So guy 1, he made $1 million a year. Guy 2 made $250K a year. Guy 3 made $53K a year, and guy 4 made $7 an hour. So you can see like the amount of money they brought in is drastically different. And I think one of the things we're supposed to take away from the article is that everyone budgeted except for the last guy, who was basically barely making ends meet. He was getting like assistance for housing. He had 2 kids, and things like that. And everyone had plans for college education except for the last guy and things like that. What I found was more interesting was that he asked each person how much money they felt they needed until they felt very comfortable, like to the point where they didn't really need to think about money. And the guy that made $1 million a year, he said he would feel comfortable at $25 million. The guy that made $250K said he would be happy with $500, $600K a year. The guy that made $53K said he would be happy with, I think, also $250, so what the guy previous to him wanted. And then the 4th guy, I think he said like 40-something K a year. Which, why I think that's interesting is because everyone felt like they needed more money. And so like everyone always wanted more. So they're always really happy in their current status, which I find is very interesting. Especially in this time where like everyone's kind of going toward this whole minimalist thing, and we've had like tiny houses and people living in vans and like trying to get away from it all. We're kind of like slowly creeping to this lifestyle of simplicity and not needing so much money, because all we need it for is the lifestyle that we have. So if you choose a simpler lifestyle, you don't really need to try to make so much money, which is kind of crazy that $1 million a year still isn't satisfying. So it doesn't matter how much you make, you're never going to be satisfied. And why I think this is interesting, because when it comes to business, I think it's also very interesting because I think the same principles are going to start to reflect in the business area. So I read a book not a long time ago, I think it's called like The $100 Startup, where this guy, I don't think it's very scientific, but he kind of did a study of like businesses started with little bit of money and found that they were more successful than businesses that started with a lot of money. And you can imagine why, because when you have less, you're kind of forced to just figure it out and be more resourceful, where when you're handed a bunch of money, you kind of lose that incentive and you just feel like you have to spend it. And so I think a lot of the reason why the whole current bubble in Silicon Valley is happening, because a lot of investors are tired of just handing out a bunch of money and then those people not doing anything with it, because it's just cash that they can blow through. So I think it's really, really interesting. It's something I've tried to do, of just trying to do more with less. And I'm interested to see if that trend kind of continues with the whole startup kind of vibe and business vibe, and will things start to be more towards small businesses? And then how does that work? Because I find it very hard to work for somebody that is very frugal and definitely like almost borderline cheap. And so how do you kind of balance the two of like being a good business person but not being a horrible employer because you're cheap and don't want to spend any money or
help your employees out. And so there's just like this interesting balance that has to happen, and it's going to be interesting to see if we can have it. Anyway, that's the end of this week's vlog. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. We'll find out next week. But until then, remember the important things and forget the rest. See you then.